There we go. Welcome back to the episode 4 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I didn't. Oh, good me. Good. For a second I thought I did it again and accidentally ended this stream early because I pressed space instead of anything else. Regardless, we talked to you, yes. As you can see, I'm still not quite there yet when it comes to sleepiness, but it's better than yesterday, so sorry about that. Right. I guess back to Briar Road. Ah, there he is. Oh, I should recap, shouldn't I? I'm sorry. This day was a busy day, a very busy one. Since my parents are going on a trip for 2 weeks, taking both of the dogs with them, and I had to help pack everything. I can't wait for tomorrow. Right. That was one of the things I had to do today. And I've had to suffer going out to eat with them today. I should remember that going out to eat is not a thing to do with my parents. They are so annoying when it comes to going out. Okay. Let's get right back into this. I shouldn't talk about stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm just so tired. My brain is like, what information to share and what not? No one cares. Let's share everything. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? That's not the accent I gave you last time. I'm sorry, Gregson. Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't... Oh, wow. How did that go? This isn't on the No. I can't get back to his voice. This isn't on the tourist trails, I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So, you've been to the holding cells then? What do you make of the criminal? There we go. He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. Huh. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Do what you will. It doesn't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens, and the verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Give me those juicy details. Scotland Yard. Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know I've always dreamed of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing the policeman there with the helmet on. You certainly get the sense that should move my mouse, I'm sorry. That this is a man who will take no nonsense in this duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh, really? First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and rouses all the labourers on his feet so they can get off to work. What? He wakes people up? You? Raps on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit. I had no idea. Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles is approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. And when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose in between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you could call it in between exactly, more alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit. I'd always dreamed of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do. Okay, what the case? Give me more. It happened at around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago. Just there, on that open pit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around British smuttish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers, defendant suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. The local map has been entered into the courtroom. Local map, street map of the local area showing where the victim was found. Oh, gimme. Meerschaum Street? How would you pronounce that in English? Meerschaum is literally German, meaning sea foam. Okay. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countryman. So, who did it, do you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Oh. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. It's so hard to keep this up. There were witnesses now. Witnesses, yes, give me those. Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from the Scotland Yard. Oh. A policeman? That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked. Nothing peculiar about it, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them bang in the act and all that. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. We can ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So, that'll give you something to look forward to. You do know that... No. Don't use everyday logic on this game. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. The policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed. You know shit, Sherlock. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Yes. Oh, yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color was drained from his cheeks. Well... Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions. Vittelfeld. The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his muck everywhere. True. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around, spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He's a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Keep a cap. Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Ron's magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any of Herlock Sholmes' tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be trampled by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous as to us the Scotland Yard as he is to all our criminals. True. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly, the great detective and the police have a complex relationship, to say the least. The twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a archpole. Okay. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It is all a bit strange though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right. He handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely? That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So, this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into. For want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No. There's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Because of us. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I can tell you what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it? Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in that case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address. It's Baker Street. How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We'd better try to find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage. So we're to have a reunion already with the great detective Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Do you have anything else? No. Thank you. A new location has been added. Okay, let's go. Is he home? Please don't be home.
Thank you very
Hi.
much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again.
How are you?
This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
It's beautiful. But the inside, not so much. Did everything go well with your preparations for the visit? 19th of February. Still alive. Alright. Stay alive. Only maths. 18 more days till my birthday. After that, I don't care. Sholmes is sweet. Yay. So, this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Sixteen more. Wow. Yep, maths is not my thing right now. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Susato-san? Okay, she is on cloud 9. Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been... Yes, I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. Thank you, thank you. There's not much luck involved, though. I just have to implement the in-game logic, and then it's fine-ish. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. And tomorrow, I'll be dog and parentless. I can't wait. I'm counting the hours, the minutes. Jackson is there. Sleeping peacefully. Knowing nothing. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So, if you don't mind, I just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me. She's obsessed, yes. Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. And who let us in? Did we just let ourselves in? Excuse me? Is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Hello? Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello? Wait. Aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Mr. Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room and asked Mr. Sholmes to take on this case. The King of Bavaria? King Wilhelm Gottsreich, Sigismund von Ormstein, of course. Of course, yes. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. Oh my god. The tea is brewed and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you! I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too. Ah, there you are! And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGill's trial in the defendant's antechamber. I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh, yes, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. It's not poisoned, right? Oh, thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see? You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend the Japanese men. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley. Mr. Sholmes? Do you, surely? Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley is out on an errand right now. Again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me, I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley. Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait, this can't be. Did you say your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryonosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Bruno. Got it. Susie? And Bruno? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her. I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Alright, let's start then. Iris Wilson, your deductions just now. Okay. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey. Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. Though at the time we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Hmm? Ah, thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh, yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Ginny! Yes, she's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. Are you referring to the trial disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions? Good idea. This girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley. Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him a Hurley if he was my father, would I? Who knows? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you've found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So, the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. You are roommates. I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Oh no. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the great adventures of Herlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Ron's magazine. Yes, I've read every issue and it's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night he was telling me all about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. He didn't solve that, no. We did. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. Can I revise that? So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Band. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think. Don't you? So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Ron's magazine all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. Susato-san's getting more and more worked up. Ah, yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at the age of 10. At 10 years old, yes. Well, that's quite incredible. Oh. Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes, about that. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in town? It does, yes. It sounds like a creep. I suppose it does, yes. Oh, Susata-san, she looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. So, tell me more, about before. Yes, what's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell me. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please, tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. Okay, what's going on? First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber. But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pockets. She is a better detective than our Herlock Sholmes is. Can I have her as a partner? Oh. So, I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. Ah. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And the red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGildy, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face, so I concluded that that prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume. Now, Bruno has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both came from Japan as well. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his nose with a knife, you know. He is silly. And that's all there is to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions. It was actually not bad. Compared to your roommate's great deductions, it was awesome. Flawless, even. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. You even managed the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? Okay. So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended the Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, where the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. Short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubts. Suzuki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all, but it seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive power to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in tears. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Oh, Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminal in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. Wow. And they probably get convicted as well. Nice. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the working of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Suzuki-san. We're the one defending him, so we have to get a non-guilty verdict to continue that game. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. Oops. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Natsume. Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there? Yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody in that case. Give Grexy this for me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Iris's postcard has been entered into the court record. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Oh. Hi, Iris. Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Marahudo, it's back to the scene of the crime. So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the man of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. To be continued. Yes, please, let me save. Alright, back at Briar Road. It looks as though the police are still here carrying on with their investigation. Highly dubious. Perfect. So let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at the silver tip Iris gave us for him. There you go. Oops. Eh? Right, here we go. She's beautiful. Handwriting. Eh. Didn't I? Oh, right. It's R. I'm stupid. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair phone. Get bounced, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris. What? For me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here. At once. Come on. Hand it over. That's for me. Oh, don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that going exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee. That's what it is. An appearance fee. Oh, I see you mean... That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me every time. Yes, of course, I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still, I am sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. But Obviously, it's not a problem. Get on. Fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ah, the little knife-wielding, moustached Japanese fellow. He lives in the right old hovel. It's just over there, look. That's all. On the first floor of that house on the corner, where that wreck of a bicycle propped up. That's nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is Mr. John Gerrit. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector. We will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Okay. He hates the one roommate and adores the other. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yes, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Definitely. I have to go... yeah, okay. Move. Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Mr. Natsume's lodgings, alright.
May I help you?
Yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Garrida?
Indeed it would, sir. And who, may I say, is calling?
My name's Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Suzuki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client.
One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Gerrit.
Do you see that, Mr. Sato? That was a real live English maid. I know, and as I understand it, anyone of standing in an English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, the steak keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment.
Thank you for waiting. Mr. Gerrit will see you now. This way.
Move? No. Salmon. It's a full-sized cannon. What's it doing in here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? Bah, that's little more than a toy. Alright. The army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house. Really, it isn't overkill. Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy. Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Garrida? Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well on the cannon here. Joan tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. Poor thing. That uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Not much better than rags, really. Oh? Wore that ceremonial garb at my retirement bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past. Me would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, it doesn't hurt to have the odd piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? The odd piece. Oh, I see. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. Are those mortal shells? They're enormous. I didn't notice. What are they doing there? Ah, those old things. Couple of little rounds are accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of a colorful regiment folklore, that incident. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately exactly. They're only scrap iron after all, usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things might come in useful, do you? Useful for what, exactly? Yes, well... Joan here did manage to knock one of the belly things on my foot the other day while she was dusting. Oh no! I hadn't shed a tear since 1869. Before then, you know. Maybe reconsider throwing them away? Sure. That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner. Yes, it's displayed with some pride, I would say, although it bothers me that it's not straight. Yep, me too. What? That old thing? Sorry? I should be glad to see the back of it, but the general would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it, keeps the belly thing out of my way. So it's just been polished to shine by accident, I suppose? There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look, let me see. It says, "For distinguished participation." Sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. Okay, dude. Hi, Erica. How are you doing? That portrait of Mr. Garrydepp is glaring at me, I swear. That old thing? Okay, come on. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Garrydepp as well? Yes, and there seems to be a statue of her lying on the mantelpiece as well. Ah, yes. Oh, not that old thing? Seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. You're a wizard, Harry? In point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. Didn't think of that. But yeah, now I see it too. They're Pokemon. Catch them. The lion ornament certainly does seem surplus to the requirements. So Sato-san doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Okay, I think we're almost done. Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Just wait for his answer. No. Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. But what could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a quick look. Just a little peek. Athos. Thank you. Athos is the new moderator of the scream. Hey! I guess. Okay. Maybe let's not, Mr. Sato. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Ahem, ahem. It does look quite... Is that dried up blood? But then again, we learned last time that there does not exist dried up blood in this world. It's always juicy and red, as if it just came fresh out of the moon. It does certainly look that way, especially the shape of his head. Ah, oh, look! What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up? Looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. Yes, very much so. It is Mr. Gettydep's custom to have two cakes with his tea. Two? Let me see that mountain of cake. Why is he so thin if he eats two cakes? That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally. And it would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Gettydep doesn't eat, I say to myself, don't. You shall have to tidy it up. Holy fuck! How magnanimous of you. She's going to eat all that? Okay. One piece of cake is enough for me. They're normally too sweet. This old candle holder looks a little out of place here, wouldn't you say? Yes, you're right. It's clearly supposed to be gold, but it's almost completely black for some reason. I think they do not have any money left. Ah, that old thing, yes. Just a cheap piece of ironmongery. Jim Greck. Really? What? Oh, used it when I was studying, don't you know? For my commission. I know it's old, hardly worth hanging on to, really, but, well, still has its uses sometimes. Of course. Does everything in this room have some elaborate story behind it? They're memories, Mr. Naruhodo. Memories. This old candle holder? No, that's not what I was... Yeah, shut up. I need my skip button. Give me my skip button. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? It's almost non-existent, although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is... oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. I wonder... perhaps the cannon was fired at it? No, I don't think the wall would be standing if a cannon was shot at it from this close range. Yes, probably something like that. But let's not delve too deeply here. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, a window. This window looks out over Briar Road, where the young woman was attacked. Oh yes, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene. The glass is rather murky, isn't it? You can't see very clearly. Is this thing open at all, I wonder? I shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir. Sorry? As soon as you open that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go open windows at dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you. It seems very unlikely that these two would have seen anything of the incident then. Alright. The only thing left is our dear pair here. Good day to you, John Garridepp, at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Rino Scandalo. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Maywan. Don't you know? Oh. The old arrow to the knee story. I see. Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. You know, shit, Sherlock. It's a hell of a job getting up and downstairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruto. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Garridepp, no wonder you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, sorry. It was nothing. The medal just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though. Oops. So I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Dash it all, woman. Be careful. Oh, dearie me, I took back your pardon, sir. You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. I shall be more careful, sir. So, anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now. I see who has the pens on in this relationship. Yes, I see. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only to please, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea. All that detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of Ron's magazine here, so... Huh? Oh, no, Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Sussex-son's room. It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's switching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. Sure. Highly likely. About Mr. Natsume. About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garrett. Please do tell us. Ah, yes, the Japanese Jap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then. I have 2 lodges most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available. Dash it all, Joan. Do be careful. What was that? Became available a week ago, you see. That'd been... Okay, she wants to hide something. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion... I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later he's going to do something untoward. Sure. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. You're making sure of that, I'm sure. We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was. And he's dying to tell us. I'll show you Lodger. She's dying. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Oh my word, yes! The man was shadier than an orchard. Orchard? Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is. More than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passed the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day, comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed, too. You have to be awake as well to notice that, though. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night, but I've never known the Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Ah. Oops. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh. I'd understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct? That's right, they're both below us on the first floor, street level. Then how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise time that they come back in the evening, for example, even the time they go to bed. Good grief, Joan. Be more careful, woman. Sorry, I had to wait for him to pass. Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Huh. Something doesn't add up here. Sure doesn't. The incident 2 days ago. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time? Huh, the window. Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Prior Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garridup household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as? Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Huh, well... Yes? Was there something then? Sorry about that. For the love of God, Joan. Watch what you're doing. Was he saying something and I skipped it again? Well, it's not... it's nothing particularly significant, but at around that sort of time in here, there... Oh, dearie me. What have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. There's a lot of tea in that can. Do be more careful, woman. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Naruholo? Oh, yes? I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Oh, really? Mr. Garridup? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of... Joan, dash it all. What is the matter with you, woman? Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes. Quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal. Huh, Joan? That's right, Mr. Garridup. What's the matter with these two? Yes, I want to read that. 1 second, give me that. Okay. I read it, even though I didn't read it. It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of that incident. But I wish I knew. Mr. Natsume's room. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on? Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there even as we speak? Yes, told me that's his name. Had asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services? That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around in Mr. Natsume's room, I mean? Huh, don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with that case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. Alright. Let's get a move on then. Oh, one more. Mr. Natsume's room. Okay, I see where this saying of too many books for someone to read comes from, but I think that's still a manageable amount. It really depends on if you have the time for it, and apparently he only goes out to shop and that's it, and then he probably reads at night. Okay. And writes haikus. What? You just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountain of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. It's so dark in here too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think. Yes, once upon a time. But for some reason it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. Amazing lodgings. So, this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere. Have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Gary Depp told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere. Investigating. Kitty cat! The desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat, but surrounded on all sides by those towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done that, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt for a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it, and the date of purchase, 2 days ago, at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. It's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Let me close the door. Ah, Jason. Oh, you farting monster. The second-hand book receipt has been entered into the court record. A receipt discovered in Mr. Natsume's room for some books that he had purchased from a second-hand bookshop before the incident occurred. Okay. Oh, can I? Kitty itself. Meow. What? Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away? I don't know about that. He disappeared in that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tri-colored Mike, wasn't it? So they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain. Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. Yeah, but on the road for 2 months? 1.5? For someone that has never left his country before, that must have been long. Oh, look! It's a beckoning cat from home. We're done? Cuddle monster. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that maneki neko at all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think we're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Naruhodo wanted the same, and his cat is sure to beckon good luck. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Look at all those books stacked up there. They're almost reaching the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No. What a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the books that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. So reading, it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Okay. Anything interesting? The brick wall? Could you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although, all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. So really, it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on it. In a fit of whimsy. Ah, that's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. Okay. That's not almost everything, but almost everything. Look at all these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them in English. Looks like the waste paper basket is so full they're just falling out. I think Mr. Natsume must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you? Or deeply averse to tidying up his mess. I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth. Okay. There he is. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. There he is. Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, you too. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we went and met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Brea. Yes, of course, the Brea. And let me see what happened on that voyage. It was Kazuma Asogi. He died tragically. You were a great help to us. Why lie like that? Ryonosuke? Ah, yes, of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh. Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madame, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. You lose all the rounds. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suites the day we arrive in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Sasaki-san in that short an amount of time. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless information lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. You mean Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madame, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Sure thing, yeah. Go ahead. You know what? Let's leave that for another day. It's getting a bit busy outside, so I don't want extra noises coming in. And tomorrow will be peaceful and quiet, and I can't wait for it to come. No interruptions, no sudden door openings. Right, Jackson? We'll be gone. Nice. Alright. I know it's a short one, but we'll have more time tomorrow. And hopefully no interruptions of any kind. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye!